on YouTube, so do send them to us. Before that, though, let's bring you the news summaries.
Well, time now for the summaries. Let's begin from here. The Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Elizabeth Ofuswe-Jare, has cautioned against calls to clamp down on foreign participation in Ghana's rail sector, arguing that enforcement remains difficult as long as locals continue to front for foreign operators. Speaking during the Government Accountability Series on Wednesday, the Trade Minister dismissed claims that foreigners dominate Ghana's retail market, insisting that such assertions are not supported by realities on the ground. Also, the Ghana Health Service has confirmed 12 new cases of Mpox as of January 18, bringing the total number of confirmed cases nationwide to 980. The outbreak has so far resulted in 7 deaths, with 1 patient currently on admission and receiving treatment. According to the Ghana Health Service, Mpox is primarily transmitted through close physical contact with an infected person, including contact with skin lesions, body fluids, or contaminated materials. Health authorities are urging the public to remain vigilant and practice good hygiene to reduce the risk of infection. The Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, has arrested 15 drivers in Ablekuma, Accra, for allegedly charging multiple fares, the union's task force has confirmed. National Guard Commander of GPRTU, Dermon Ekolgezi, said the operation is part of a wider effort to tackle driver indiscipline in the city and enforce approved fare structures. However, some of the arrested drivers have described the arrest as unjustified. One driver said he had only charged the normal fare and was unfairly targeted. Before we go, Ghana's Chief Justice Paul Bafuboni has thrown his weight behind the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission's ongoing campaign to expose and sanction individuals who use academic titles they have not legitimately earned. According to the Chief Justice, the naming and shaming initiative being undertaken by GTech is necessary to sanitize the educational system and restore credibility to academic and professional institutions. While the campaign has been met with resistance from some of those affected, the CJ has urged the Commission to remain resolute. That's it for the news summaries.
Thank you very much, Grace Hamwa Ajiman, for letting us know the other big stories making rounds in Ghana. Let's settle for the big ones that we are monitoring for you. And it has to do with one of the stories that have been running for a number of days now, having to do with some unscrupulous drivers who have been charging unapproved fares. So the concern has been on the back of a number of reports over the last few days where some drivers have been charging unapproved fares on a number of major routes. What we have been told is that as of today, about 15 of those unscrupulous drivers have been arrested. And we are told that this is not the only time. It has been ongoing for some time and will definitely continue to ensure that sanity is brought to our roads. So let's speak to Abbas Imoro, who is the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, the GPRTU. Mr. Imoro, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening, and thank you for calling.
Right, to start with, so where are these 15 people?
Well, they are currently in the hands of the police at Ablekuma Police Station.
And I know that over the last few days or last few weeks, you set up a task force. Is this the work of the task force that helped you to apprehend these 15 individuals?
Yes, the initial task force were given a work to find out if it is true some of the drivers are working short, if it is true some of the drivers are overcharging, and they were able to bring a credible report. You know, we met the transport minister. It started from last week Friday, where the vice president, the local government minister, and the transport minister at the transport ministry. And it was postponed. That meeting was postponed to 3 days today. That is, this very Monday. So this very man, they were able to conclude it. And all directions point to some of the drivers punishing the passengers by loading short, and others are also overcharging. And GPR2 were being accused undisputedly. We agreed we are the leading private transport operators in the country. So definitely anything is being pointed to us. It's like these newspapers. We have so many newspapers. They say graphic, because graphic
Yes,
is the best of our time.
Yeah.
So any driver who misbehaves, it had to. So we took it upon our day. We called for an emergency meeting. At the meeting, it was agreed that our union car should immediately be deployed on the stations or on the field. Whilst we are waiting for the assemble the AMA or the assemble their task force and the police task force, which we all agreed at the transport ministry that this what we are going to do. Let's get them involved and see how best we could salvage this situation. Lo and behold, at our yesterday's emergency meeting, we agreed that we should put our union gas on board whilst we are waiting for these two groups. So they started this morning. They have to operate at a particular place for about an hour or 2 hours, then they leave to another place. This morning they were at Ablekuma and they were able to, by the close of the morning, arrested about 15 vehicles for overcharging, for loading for sure, because they do not belong to any union. They don't have any particular route that they were operating.
Okay.
We, in the laws of the land, every union has to register with assemblies in its jurisdiction. The assembly will give you the acceptance over the jurisdiction that you operate, because and you look at the Road Traffic Act 2012, when you go to Regulation 121, it is also there that before you work as a professional driver, you have to make sure you belong to a union, a society, or a company. You can register as a company so that they will know your routes that you operate and where you start your operations from if anything were to trace you. These are people who doesn't belong to any union at all. They are just working anyhow, and these are the people who are overcharging, who are creating problems by taking people short. So they were arrested and handed over to the police so that the police will also prosecute them, hand them over to the law courts.
Okay.
Onwards.
So the question many will now be asking is: so what exactly will they be charged with? Overcharging? Is that the when they are finally sent to court? What would they be slapped with, or what would they be charged with?
They will be charged with working without
authorization.
Authorization, yes. So you are working illegally. Because the law in the traffic books says you should belong to a union, a society, or even you could form your own transport company.
Okay.
Of which they don't.
Okay. And Mr. Imoro, so we know that now it is clear that GPRTU does not want its members to be undertaking any of these kind of illegalities as you've described.
These are not our members.
Oh, they actually are not your members?
Yes.
They are just floating drivers, as we call them?
They are just floating, yes. Floating, that is all against the law.
Okay. So clearly there is cooperation between your members and then other transport unions to ensure that you rid the system of these kinds of illegalities, right?
Yes.
Right. And going forward, what is the plan and how sustainable is this strategy of deploying the task force?
My brother, I say we have to explain something to the general public. If you operate from Amasaman to Accra, when you come to Accra, you have to start loading from Accra to Amasaman, because when you are driving from Amasaman to Accra, you might pick somebody from Pokwase, Ofanko, Achimata, Alajo, along the stretch of there, you might be picking people. And these are the very people when going back, and you start loading Amasama, because they know you are driving through where they are going, they might join you. But here in the case, when you get to Accra during peak hour, then you say cycle. Although they are not going to cycle, they will decide that since Amasama vehicle is not coming, since Achimota vehicle is not coming, then let me join to cycle. They will take all these people, dump them at cycle in the midst of pickpockets and any other bad characters. So you can imagine what they go through. Before then they go back to cycle, then they continue. I'm going to Achimota. By the time you get to Amasama, if you have to pay 10 cedis from Amasama to Accra, you are going to pay more than that.
Exactly. Okay.
Yes. So finally, we deem it as a cheat.
Yeah.
You see, so we have started. You are waiting for the services of the assemblies and that of the police to beef up to make sure right things are being done.
Okay.
So that we all live happily.
Okay, my two final questions, then you can take leave of us. We know, or I know, because I also use public transport sometimes, I know that when, for instance, you charge, say, Accra to Achimota, there is a fare that you have to pay. But if the car is going...
It's around 6 cities.
It's around 6 cities, all right. So, for instance, if I pick the car from Accra and it is not a station car, it's a moving car, or it finds me at Circle and I join, and the car is, let's say, is going to Amasaman, should I pay the full distance fare to Amasaman, or I should pay to where I would alight?
No, you don't have to pay Amasaman fare. You have to pay Achimota fare, because immediately you alight, someone might join. So
someone might...
It will even benefit me as a driver.
Okay.
If you are light at Achimota and someone joins. The two, what I took from Accra to Achimota 6 cities. From Achimota to Amasama could even be around 6 cities.
Right.
It could be. And maybe from Accra to Amasama would be about 11 cities. So finally, I might even benefit something small out of it.
Okay. And finally, so what next? Now that they are in the custody of the police, what are the timelines we are working with? When would they be arraigned before court?
We have started. If by tomorrow those bad notes in our midst stops, then our people will also relax. If they immediately stop doing that, they will also stop.
No, I'm asking...
If they don't stop, we'll be chasing them.
Okay, I'm asking what next now that they've been arrested? Are we going to court and when?
They have to send to the law court. They have to be prosecuted and sent to the law court for the law court to take its course.
Okay.
Because we have laws in the land.
Right. Mr. Emoro,
yeah.
thank you so much for speaking to us.
You are always welcome. This evening too, they are going to continue.
Okay. And we are fully in support of this so that we can have some sanity.
Thank you for supporting.
Right. Thank you so much. We've been speaking to the Public Relations Officer of the GPRTU, Abbas Imoro, helping us understand that 15 people have been arrested. They are currently in the custody of the Ghana Police Service, and the exercise or the operation that got them arrested will continue in the coming days. In fact, continues right this evening. So trust us to also be on top of the issue and update you as and when they do arrest them. Plus, you as a citizen or someone who uses public transport, you can also join in this fight to ensure that some sanity is brought to our public transport system. So report them if the mates and the drivers are misbehaving or are not allowing the laws of the Republic to work. You're still listening to 3FM 92.7. This is Hot Edition. It is live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. Let's go to the big talking point that was on the lips of many Ghanaians, especially yesterday, the appearance of the former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta before the court in the U.S., where we are told that the case has actually been adjourned to the 27th of April later this year. However, another Ghanaian individual is also expected to appear today, and that's the former Chief Executive Officer of the Microfinance and Small Loan Center, MASLOC, Sedina Tamaklo Atienu. She is expected to appear before a U.S. court on the 21st, which is today, to determine whether or not she would be deported to Ghana. Madam Tamaklo Atienu was arrested by U.S. Marshals following an extradition request made by the Ghanaian government in 2024. According to Ambassador Smith, who is Ghana's ambassador to the U.S., officials of the Ghanaian government and the embassy have so far not been allowed to visit her since her arrest, although the reasons for the restriction remains unclear. Meanwhile, the Bring Ken Back protest by pressure group Arise Ghana got intense on the second day as protesters blocked part of the road in front of the U.S. Embassy and attempted entry into the interior area. Hundreds joined the protest, causing a heightened security and barricades to control the crowd. Christian Yali, who is our correspondent following this particular issue for us, was there and reported. For those of you who are watching on Facebook or who want to see how the day played out in terms of the turnout of the numbers, just check our Facebook and our YouTube stream and you'd get to understand how the day played out. But let's listen to this report by Christian Yali. All right, so we'll try and bring you that report in a moment, but your thoughts and messages are always very welcome. Do let us know what you make of it, and especially on the back of what many expected to be the outcome of yesterday's development in court. So these are two Ghanaians who are expected to be deported or are needed in Ghana to face the law, but from all indications, Ken Ofori-Atta would have to stay a few more days because of the development in the court yesterday, where his lawyers asked that the case be heard in camera, so the public was not allowed in. Then later, we were told the case will now be heard on the 27th of April. So let's listen to the individuals or the group, the pressure group Arise Ghana, when they massed up in front of the U.S. Embassy earlier today, which is the second day of their protest to ensure that the U.S. Embassy plays its role in getting Ken Ofori-Atta back to the jurisdiction.
They are unrelenting and will not yield to any influence or be deterred in their demand for expeditious return of Ken Ofori-Atta. Day 2 of the Arise Ghana picket at the U.S. Embassy saw more numbers, unlike the first day, which was calmer. That in a direct response, the police also enhanced their presence with more personnel and barricades, with some on standby to act in any unforeseen eventuality. Political figures showed up.
Any public official must have at the back of the mind that accountability is part of your life. And it's very simple. No one is saying that Ken is guilty. What we are saying is that he must come and answer the questions. If it's done, he can go back to the United States of America. They must be the last country to be standing in the way of Ghana in pursuing accountability. They must not allow their country to be used as a sanctuary for corruption and corrupt officials.
We definitely want to make a point to the U.S. government that they have all that it takes to fast-track Ken's return to this country. We are not perturbed, and we are going to continue with this protest until the U.S. government gives us the assurance that Ken is going to be returned to this country as soon as possible.
They defied the barricades to attempt a crossover to the frontage of the embassy, and police started forming a human wall. Unsatisfied, they sat in the middle of the road.
It is getting serious over here. That right now, when you get here, the protesters have now crossed the road They have taken seats on the road. They have blocked this entire lane and are asking that Ken Ofori-Atta returns. Why are you blocking the road?
We are not blocking the road. We are now in the American jurisdiction. Earlier we were in Ghana, so we have crossed over now to the United States Embassy, where America has jurisdiction over this place. It's the embassy that we are picketing. That is why we are here. We are not in any way inconveniencing the motoring public.
All right. See how the display is ongoing. You can see that our participants are cheering up so high. They are carrying a strong message across, and their voices are very loud. All that they are demanding for is the deportation of Ken Ofori-Atta to this country to come and face judgment. Everywhere is hot. Wrong.
Our children, our household, everybody is suffering. Some of us are dead and gone. Now we need Ofori-Atta to come and answer questions. As I'm talking to you, some of our benefits, because of Ofori-Atta, some of our benefits, negotiated benefit company, they have held some of our benefits. And stay with them. Now we are organizing ourselves to go and pick it there too.
Arise Ghana wants to make a statement through this protest and bring pressure to bear.
And that's a report by Christian Yali. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to private legal practitioner John Kwesen, who is a constitutional lawyer. And a very good evening to you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, my brother. And good evening to your listeners too.
Right. We'll come to the specifics of what played out in court yesterday regarding Ken Ofori-Atta and the Arise Ghana protests, asking many are asking, so what do they want the U.S. Embassy to do? We'll come to that. But today we know that another Ghanaian who is in the United States, in the person of Sedin Atamaklo Atieno, is expected to meet the U.S. court, and then, if it's possible, based on the extradition request Ghana has made, she may be deported to the country. But what are your expectations as someone who's following this issue, and on the back of what played out yesterday?
Okay, I think yesterday Ghanaians were all hoping that, as envisaged early on, the U.S. government was going to sit on the matter, and that today, being 21st, Ghanaians were going to catch glimpses of the coming of Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta. Unfortunately, the case has been exacerbated as we speak now. And then I have concluded and summarized the whole thing that it's a victory, a gargantuan victory for Ken Ofori-Atta, his family, his legal team, and everybody who is in support of him, to the detriment, extreme detriment of the country Ghana. We all wanted, or let's say majority,
immediately available,
wanted to see his face, but merely by entering into the soils of Ghana to a larger extent was victory for majority of Ghanaians. Unfortunately, nothing like that happened, and the duration is rather been prolonged by legal means and by procedure. We have no option than to wait up until the month of maybe May, and that is even the first step. Subsequently and procedurally, more things are supposed to follow. Mind you, what is pending or what is before the U.S. court now is just an application for bail. Substantively, the U.S. government has not even started on whether deportation. What was before the immigration court or the ICE was issues on deportation. There was nothing like extradition. But yesterday, the immigration court in U.S. was alerted or brought to the knowledge of the fact that the Ghana government has also requisitioned the U.S. government on extradition request. So the issues have been, was the fact that his visa had been revoked, and therefore he was being prepared for deportation. Yesterday, during sitting, it came to the attention of the judge that indeed Ghana has...
We seem to have lost the connection to a private legal practitioner who was helping us get some legal perspective to the issue of the extradition of whether or not Ken Ofori-Atta could have been decided, or the fate of Ken Ofori-Atta could have been decided yesterday to either bring him home immediately or deport him immediately. But his lawyers were able to make a strong argument, and the U.S. court, the immigration court that is, agreed with what his lawyers were saying and extended his stay in the U.S. And so the next time he's expected to appear will be the 27th of April later this year. And we also know a second Ghanaian, that is in the person of Sedina Tamaklo Ationu, who was actually a former chief executive officer of the Microfinance and Small Loan Center, MASLOC. Now, she actually left the country much earlier, about 3 years ago, and she had actually been charged also and was supposed to have started serving her jail term, but she left the country, was domiciled in the U.S., and Ghana government, the then NPP government, put in a request to extradite her from the U.S. to Ghana. So that request has been acted upon by the U.S. government. That is how come she has been picked and is in U.S. custody, or is in the custody of the U.S. government. Now today, she will be appearing before a court, and the conversation largely will be about whether or not she has violated any specific orders. And it also stands to understand that she also is assumed or alleged to have violated U.S. immigration laws, for which reason she is in the custody of the marshal. So we would try and follow that particular development as and when she appears before court, we will follow very closely and update you on how that court process will go, or the hearing will go. And the hearing clearly is going to be quite similar to what we saw with Ken Ofori-Atta when he also appeared before the Virginia Immigration Court. And his lawyers argued that based on the kind of request that Ghana had made, they would like him to stay in the U.S. at least for some extra days to analyze and understand what exactly the situation is before they agree as to whether he has to be deported from the United States or allowed to stay there by visa, by extending his visa. And so do let us know what you make of the developments. If you go to our Facebook page, we are streaming this bulletin. Your thoughts are also very important, so do send them to us, and I will read it and share it with the rest of the world. Now, one of the key institutions or key pressure groups that are asking the government to, or the U.S. government that is through their embassy here, to act expeditiously is Bernard Mona, who is one of the conveners of the Arise Ghana pressure group. He's joined us on phone for a quick chat. Mr. Mona, Happy New Year to you. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Martin, many happy returns. Next year by now, your wife should have given birth to twins.
Amen. I receive it. Thank you so much for that. To start with, I'm told you are still at the premises of the U.S. Embassy. How has the day been, the second day of the protest or the picket?
We have left the U.S. Embassy premises. We gave ourselves up to 4, but we even left there at 2 p.m. There were many people that came. Some of them, as you know, mass protests, you don't get to know everybody. Some of them, I personally do not know them. But they also have the same feeling that we have, that Ken Ofori-Atta should be brought to Ghana to face trial. And so a number of people came. I think the crowd today was higher than what we started with yesterday. And I'm anticipating that it will keep snowballing tomorrow.
At the end, what are you expecting from the U.S. Embassy to meet you so you give them a petition? Well, what exactly is the strategy here?
Well, if I can have that outside of legal remit, if you listen and read the news portal, you hear that yesterday when Ken appeared before the judge, there was a state attorney that went to the court and indicated that there was an extradition request from Ghana. And the judge said that he cannot make any determination based on that.
There was an objection.
Until the document before him is not able to make any judgment or any pronouncement based on assertion. So what it means is that whatever we are doing here, there is also a feed into the United States system. And that is possibly responsible for somebody choosing that Ken Ofori-Atta has expired his visa in the United States of America, for which reason ICE was able to go and pick him up. And two, that the picketing was ongoing at the U.S. Embassy. And of course, you will see that they are drones and some of their security persons were moving in and out, meaning they are picking information and also sending signals. Some of them came out close to look at the placard. So we are insisting that all these problems that we are having, should Ken Ofori-Atta, on his own will, say that he wants to come to Ghana to come and face the charges, I'm sure that every other matter that is ongoing will be dropped for him to return to Ghana, so that we will be able to get to the bottom of the allegations that have been leveled against him.
And it is on the back of that we are also trying to understand. So this is just to put more pressure on the U.S. government to act. But are you optimistic that this would actually bear some fruits? Because the situation is totally in the hands of the U.S. government. They can actually decide to extend his stay in the U.S. And although there is a request to extradite him, it is still in the hands of the U.S. government, no?
Yeah, I agree with you perfectly. And that is why I'm saying that in order not to set a dangerous precedent that anybody who occupies public office can become pompous and arrogant in that office, can abuse that office, can take the office for granted, and in this instance steal resources meant for the state and for his personal and family use. So that at the end, when these people have become filthy rich from the loot that they have, they can run to any country and then they will get protection from it. If you do that, I'm not sure that this world will be a place for people to live. Anybody can go and loot, and I'm sure that Americans who also have the opportunity will want to do that and run to Ghana, and they will get protection in Ghana. As we speak, Ato Forson is the current occupier at the Ministry of Finance. Should he learn from the nasty example of Ken Ofori-Atta, then it means that we are in a mess. And I have said this, that look, the record of Ken Ofori-Atta is indicative of how terrible he was as our minister. When Ken was in office, inflation was at 54%. When Dr. Amin Anta took over a few months to the close of the term, inflation came down all the way from 54 to 26%. Ato Forson has brought inflation to 5.4%. Can you imagine that Ken was not in the helm of affairs of this country? Can you imagine the gains this nation would have made by now? Can you imagine the cost of fuel at the fuel station and many other things that we would have been enjoying? Ken and his stewardship was simply very ugly, that we need to bring him to book to account for it. I am not interested in a man's incarceration. If you have listened to me on all grounds, or anytime I'm talking about it, I say, look, our justice system is said that people are sent to prison, and then the state now tends to spend more money to take care of the criminals. No, we should retrieve whatever they have stolen. We should exact some form of punishment that will not allow the state to expend on them. Ken Ofori-Atta, if he's in prison, certainly we will have to give him food. We'll have to give him a place to shelter. We'll have to give him water. Possibly we even have to take care of his medical care. All those things are not my interest. My interest is that all the loot that Ken Ofori-Atta has been involved in, he should bring it back.
Right. And as we speak, we know that he would have to stay in the U.S. up until the 27th of April. You must have been disappointed when that news became public, that whereas many thought he would have been, deported probably latest today or by the weekend, we'll all have to wait. Or those who wanted to see him immediately would have to wait till April. What did you make of that?
Well, I, like many others, were disappointed hearing that it is up to the 27th of April. And that is not even certain that that will be the gauge of that judgment. if I get it right, that is the day the judge will now have gone through the documents that the attorney that went there to talk about the extradition case that Ghana has brought in before they can think about whether its immigration status should be extended or otherwise. So it is not even certain that 27th of April we can get a finality of this matter. But I'm saying, all in all, it is for the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta, the lovers of Ken Ofori-Atta, and Ken Ofori-Atta himself to say that I want to go back to Ghana. If he says that there will be abridgment of time, and the system will just allow him to come to Ghana, because then there will not be any seeking of extension of his stay in the United States. Two, there will not be any request for extradition again. That extradition would have instantaneously become mute or moot. And then he will be in Ghana. And that day, I can assure you, I will not wear red, I will wear white to go and welcome him.
Just like Ken Ofori-Atta himself likes wearing white, right?
Precisely.
All right, Mr. Mona, thank you so much, and we'll definitely be engaging you again in the coming days.
Thank you so much, Martin.
And Bernard Mona is a convener of the Arise Ghana pressure group, who have been at the U.S. Embassy for 2 days straight, and they are putting pressure on the U.S. government to act in assisting Ghana to get Ken Ofori-Atta back into the jurisdiction to answer questions over his stewardship when he was in charge of Ghana's finances. Clearly, he would have to delay for some time, because upon his appearance yesterday, the court decided that his next appearance, or his next day to meet the court, would be on the 27th of April. And trust your most authority source, TV3 and 3FM, to update you on how all of this plays out. And again, just by way of balance, we also know that Sedina Tamaklo Atieno, the former Maslock CEO, is expected to appear before the court today. We will update you, hopefully by close of day today, on whether she is also going to be getting an extension or will be deported forthwith and to arrive in Ghana to serve her sentence, which was handed her in absentia. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition. We're going on to some politics now, and following the unfortunate demise of the MP for Ayawaso, well, some political activities have begun in earnest. So the Ayawaso East constituency of the governing National Democratic Congress is bracing for a keen internal contest as the party prepares to elect a successor to the late Member of Parliament Alhaji Nasser Toure ahead of the February 7 primary. The Electoral Commission has set the 3rd of March to hold the by-election. The contest is between Hajia Amina Ahmed, the widow of the former MP, and Baba Jamal, a legal practitioner and Ghana's ambassador to Nigeria for rural development. On the other hand, the opposition New Patriotic Party has given the strongest indication that it will also contest the election. So far, one name that has come up is the former MCE for the constituency, that is the Ayawaso East Municipality, Hajia Salma Mohammed Sani Adams Kuta. We're going to be giving you some historical antecedents of how the parties have fared in the constituency over the last few electoral cycles. Do let us know what you make of it. We are streaming this bulletin on Facebook and on YouTube, so your thoughts are also very... To start with, I would want you to walk us through how the constituency has behaved in terms of its electoral pattern. The NPP and NDC seem to be the two key parties that have contested on almost all the election cycles. But what has it been like? Paint a picture for us.
So, Martin, if you talk about the Ayawaso East constituency, it has been predominantly for the NDC. The NDC has won it since its creation in 1992. So if you look at the graph, those who are on Facebook can look at the graph, realize that, when you're talking about Ghana's election, we don't normally mention 1992 because of the boycott that happened. So the first person that represented the constituency was Yahaya Seidu of the NDC. Since then, Farouk Brahima came in 1996. We also saw Mustafa Ahmed from 2001 to 2012, and recently Honorable Toure Mahama, who recently passed on. So it has been a safe seat for the NDC, winning it for the past 25 years. But if you look at the trend, you realize that the widest margin occurred in 2024. And in 2024, the NDC had 70.9% and the NPP had 29.2%. But Martin, if you look at the Ayawaso East constituency, there's one characteristic that ran through. You realize that from the 1992 to 2024, all the MPs have been from are Muslims. You realize that they are all Muslims, and it's natural because if you look at the Ayawaso East constituency, it is predominantly made up of the Muslims. In fact, that's where the National Mosque is, right? You talk about Nima, Mamobi, so it's a place that is condensed with Muslims. So it's very natural that we have most of the MPs representing the constituencies being Muslims. I mean, I mentioned Farouk Brahma, he's a Muslim. Mustafa Ahmed, also a Muslim. Mustafa, the one who recently passed on, also a Muslim. But if you look at one of the shocks that happened in the constituency was in 2008. Because in 2008, we were all expecting Kofi Wayo to give Mustafa Ahmed, actually 2000, Kofi Wayo to give Mustafa Ahmed a keen competition. But we realized that we thought he could have taken over that seat from the NDC to the MPP. That was the tightest and the keenly contested election. You realize that there was only a voter margin of 553 votes. So the Mustafa Ahmed won the election with 29,579 against Kofi Wayo 29,026. That's the tightest margin in all these election cycles, Martin.
Right. And the Kofi Wayo we are talking about is which particular Kofi Wayo? Is it the Kofi Wayo, the popular former gun or arms dealer Kofi Wayo, who was some time ago very active against the then NPP government when Kufuor was in power?
Yes.
Kofi Wayo.
Yes, Kofi Wayo is the
one
we're
that
talking
speaks
about.
the American English.
Exactly. That Kofi Wayo is the one we're talking about here.
Okay.
So it's very natural for we to be having this euphoria around the NDC primaries, because you realize that whoever wins the primary has a very high chance of winning the Ayawaso East seat.
Okay. So walk us through the percentage, or in terms of the margin. You say that since its inception in 1992, the widest margin has been the 2024 elections.
Yes.
Although the NDC has won throughout, there are specific years where the NDC won as a government and the NPP won as a government, but all through the NDC retained the seat. So in which specific years did the NDC increase the gap and the NPP, close it up? Tell us those statistics.
Fantastic. We look at 2012.
And before you even go on, we want our listeners to just go on to Facebook and on YouTube where this bulletin is streaming, so you can also follow this particular statistics and data that we are analyzing. Okay,
so Martin, if you look at 2012, the NDC had 65.4% against the NPP 34.1%. That is the second highest margin to that of the 2024. And so in all, you realize that from 2012 to 2024, the NDC is averaging over 61%. So always from 2012 to 2024, the NDC is normally getting over 61% of the votes in the Ayawaso East constituency. And this is from Honorable Ture Mahama, who just passed on. So he has a very strong foot when it comes to maintaining the Ayawaso East seat. And one of the things that I realized is that when you look at the trend, you realize that the 8-year cycle plays here. You realize that Ghana, we normally change governments every 8 years. So if you look at 2008, you realize that the incumbency advantage did not actually feature there. I mean, it would have been natural that the Kufuor was the incumbent president, so it was natural to say, okay, because of the incumbency advantage, you realize that NPP should have done well in 2008. But they actually lost a lot of votes when it comes to the percentages, because they had 39.2% in 2004, but that declined in 2008, and they had 33.3%. So if you follow the trend, you realize that it doesn't mimic the national picture that much. So it is a constituency on its own. They decide where they want to vote. They decide who they want to lead them, and it's not naturally mimicking what we generally picture as a natural way of Ghanaians voting, a changing cycle within these 8 years of changing government. So it's a very special constituency, and whatever happens there will be something that will be very interesting, and it will shape how we look at constituency elections.
And we know that the NDC is gearing up for its internal primary.
Yes.
And then beyond that, the EC would also be holding the by-election on the 3rd of March. So do trust your election command center to update you going forward. Thank you very much, Wisdom Safo, for walking us through the numbers of Ayawaso East constituency, which is actually right a stone throw from TV3. So on the election day, both the NPP and then the NDC's primary will be there to cover, and then also update you on the day of election for the by-election itself, which is the 3rd of March 2026. You're still listening to 3FM 92.7, and staying with issues of the NPP, you know that the national flag bearer election is also geared for the 31st of January 2026, which is just about 10 days from today. And from what we have been telling you since the 2024 election ended, that's 2 years ago, I should say, in December, the NPP has been very busy undertaking some internal reforms, quickly trying to go for its primary to elect a flag bearer. Some persons within the NPP disagree with the strategy, the rollout that the party leadership intends to do, which is to elect a flag bearer before they elect the party members in terms of the executives, the various executives from constituency to regional to national executives. Some believe that it should be the other way around, where you elect your national executives, then you come to regional elections, then constituency-based elections, before you can then use all of that to push and pick someone to be the flag bearer of the party. It hasn't been an easy conversation for the NPP. It's been very, very busy and tough. And what we also are following closely is that campaign activities have intensified in the rank and file of the party. They have been throwing mud at each other, that is the flag bearer hopefuls. And from all indications, the country is expecting some very serious showdown, as Kenny Japan has indicated. So he is one of the individuals contesting that party flag bearer position, Kenny Japan, that is. We also have Dr. Brian Achampong, and then Engineer Kwabena, who is the former spokesperson for the then President John Ajekum Kufuor. He's also contesting. And so these are the key individuals. Then we have Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. So there are 5 in all. Dr. Baumia, Dr. Yao Ose Educhum, the former education minister. We have Kenny Japan. Then we have Brian Achampong, and then Kwabena Ejapong, Engineer Kwabena Ejapong. That's the name I wanted to recall. So these are the 5 individuals hoping to lead the NPP as flag bearer. And in 10 days, the party will be electing one of them to lead them. Trust your election command center to update you on who gets the nod to lead the NPP going into 2028. Stay with us. You're listening to Hot Edition. Time now for the latest in the world of sports.
FM 92.7 with me, Andrew Sefa Bamfo. Let's start off from the local league where Albert Amwa has returned to Kumasi Asante Kotoko with renewed determination, making it clear that his decision to rejoin the Porcupine Warriors is rooted in a deep sense of unfinished business and an unwavering desire to help the club rediscover its momentum. Speaking after sealing his return to Kumasi, Amwa revealed that his comeback was driven by a personal mission to complete a journey he believes was left incomplete.
Well, it feels good and it feels like it was a holiday, so I feel good. Well, I decided that I want to come back to Kotoko so that I will just finish my own, everything that I started so that I will be okay. That's all. Well, yeah, it's part. It's part because I think winning the league is also part of my journey, and I was happy when the time came for me to choose the team that I want to go on loan. So I decided to come back so that you can work hard and claim it.
And so that was Kumasi Asante Kotoko forward Albert Amwa speaking there. Let's head to Europe now, where Manchester City players have taken responsibility for their shock UEFA Champions League defeat by pledging to refund the ticket cost of every supporter who travelled to Norway to watch their game against Bodo Glimt. A total of 374 City fans made a long journey to the Arctic Circle on Tuesday, only to witness a stunning 3-1 loss with away ticket price at around £25. The Manchester City squad will collectively reimburse £9,357 to cover the full cost for those supporters who braved freezing conditions to back the team. Now, finally, before we go, let's bring you updates from the UEFA Champions League. Before Galatasaray, they are currently playing against Atletico Madrid, with Atletico Madrid leading by 1-0 in that particular encounter. Atletico Madrid's goal was scored by Giuliano Simeone in the 4th minute. There's also an encounter between Karabakh and Eintracht Frankfurt, with Karabakh leading Eintracht Frankfurt by 1-0, bringing an end to the segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Join us same time tomorrow for more updates in the world of news.